Thursday, March 13th meeting of the zoning board. We will start with who is in attendance. We have member Shaw Tilton, member Rick Russman, vice chair Peter Coffin. I am chair Megan Kelly. To my left is our land use administrator Robin and member Kyle Bache. We are going to start with the meeting minutes from our last meeting, which was December 12th.
I'll move that we accept the meeting minutes from December 12th as written.
All right.
Second by Rick. Any
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Our next order of business before we open the public hearing is to determine regional impact for the project that is being proposed. So anything that is close to an abutting town or within a shared aquifer or all of that.
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, do you have, oh, do you have it? Thank you.
Yeah, I've got
yes.
the worksheet.
That'd be great. Turn on your mic.
Okay. So for
It's right here.
all land use boards are required to make a determination of regional impact for all projects that come before it, with the exception of single-family houses and things. So there are six criteria listed in RSA 36454, and we'll start with number one. I should say ahead of time that any doubt creates a determination of regional impact, so that if we're undecided. So anyways, the first criterion is the relative size or number of dwelling units as compared with existing stock. And since we're talking a mixed use, the dwelling units, because that has impact on school districts and things like that usually are more than one town. The Rockingham Planning Commission has given some guidance on the requirements for that. They feel anything of 50 or more residential units where any of the development is within 1,000 feet of a municipal boundary is criteria. Now, this is not within 1,000 feet of a municipal boundary, and that has to do with traffic flow. So the other one is school districts, and this would not affect another school district. So, so I guess to take comments, if it's okay with you, on number one, if anybody feels that would create a regional impact, the number of units. And it's also a factor of how the stock compares with the housing stock. For example, if this were a Hampton Falls, when I was growing up, it had 850 people, 64 units would be a significant portion of that population. So I don't know what the housing stock number is in Kingston, but I'll just throw it out there. Does anybody feel this has a regional impact, this first item?
For the first factor, I do not think it has regional impact.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So should we take a vote on that? On the number one? Okay. So 1, 2, I don't think this has an impact either on that. And Shaw?
No.
Okay. So number two item is the proximity to the borders of a neighboring community. And I went on Access GIS with their measuring tool, and it is 5,620 feet to East Kingston and 2,240 feet to Brentwood. And those are the only two communities that are close. Fremont is up
2
Marshall
miles
Road.
away.
Yeah, you
It's
have
a
to go up
couple
one.
miles.
It's 2 miles.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's not, when you look at the map down, and it's on the east side of 125, those are the two boundaries that are significant.
Sure, I just would note that everybody funnels into 120, 107 down to 125 from Fremont.
Yeah,
With it being a through road.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. I think that that's a transportation, which is the next item.
Sure, yeah.
So anybody feel that number 2 item is a regional impact? It is close. But I think the impact is going to be on transportation, which is the item 3, so.
Sure.
Okay, let's move on to item 3, transportation networks. And this is going to be off of Route 125 at the 107 Marshall Road intersection on the northern portion of 107. Both of those are state roads. That intersection is going to be signalized because of the 266 Route 125 project that's going in, the 800,000 square foot warehouse. The only difference is that this project would require that the eastbound turning lane off of that, and then it'd have to be signalized. Traffic coming down 107 will go across 125 into this facility, and vice versa, coming out of the facility, you would need to be able to go across 125 onto 107. It might require another lane, turn lane, at that intersection because of the eastbound turning possibilities, both directions, north and south, and it would obviously require another light cycle to go in. So these are all things that if this goes forward, would all be taken care of by a traffic study, and New Hampshire Department of Transportation would make the ultimate decision about what would be required. But I think you can see there would be an impact there along 125. The question is, that wouldn't affect East Kingston, quite frankly, because it's just not there. It might affect Brentwood.
More so than anybody, yeah.
More so than anybody.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would affect Brentwood, even Fremont,
Yeah.
Kingston.
Nowhere near as much as the warehouse did, but
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it impacts both of those two towns.
okay, so, I mean, Rick, do you have? Yeah, I'm neutral on it, so undecided, which would, so, what do you think?
I think it would affect, at the very least, Brentwood.
Yeah.
With
okay.
the proximity to the town line.
Okay, so, and this is the one that I think is going to be, we'll need to discuss this. Proximity to aquifers, this is straight out of RSA, so proximity to aquifers or surface waters which transcend the municipal boundaries. And I did take a look again at the aquifer protection zone map. This is, all the property is in aquifer protection zone B. That particular aquifer, not just the zone, but that aquifer extends north over into Brentwood for the majority of the town line there. And it also goes down south and continues over into East Kingston. And this is also where the last project that came up for reference purposes was also determined to have regional impact, and that was the primary impact was, well, regional impact was the fact that the aquifer that this project sits on would feed into both those towns. Yes. And the project, as described, would obviously require a hydrogeologic survey because of the number of units, and straight out of our ordinance book. Yep. So, but I'm going to say that has regional, in my opinion, that has regional impact. Is anybody?
I would agree. Of all of the criteria, I believe that one is the most significant.
Yeah.
It's the most compelling, and we did it for the last one. I mean,
exactly. It would be very difficult to change your mind.
Right. I don't see that changing for any project that would be proposed for this site.
Yeah. And then number 6 is shared facilities such as schools and solid waste disposal facilities. And we share schools with Newton, and this, if anything, would have a positive effect on schools because we're short on students now. But we don't share solid waste disposal with any of the surrounding towns. So,
We skip number 4.
oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, I missed that one. Number 4, anticipated emissions such as light, noise, smoke, odors, or particles.
I don't see that being relevant.
Yeah, I don't either, quite frankly. It's controlled by town law, and this isn't a high polluting project. So.
No, and it's not directly on the town line. It's far enough away.
Right, yeah. Those things wouldn't transmit across town lines, so yeah. Anybody listening to me, just write down no on that one. So the shared facilities such as schools and solid waste disposals, I would say no. Anybody disagree?
No.
Okay. So the towns with possible impact would be Brentwood and East Kingston. And we determined, well, you should be saying this.
That's fine,
Your
yeah.
voice has come back.
It's starting to come
Talking
back.
for you.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it, though. So, do we need an official vote?
We should take a vote on whether this project has regional impact and what it is.
Does it need a motion?
I'll make a motion that the project has regional impact primarily because of the underlying aspect being transmitted across the town lines of East Kingston and Brentwood, and possibly the effect on transportation on Brentwood.
Any seconds? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, so that is passed. So with that decision being made, the towns of Brentwood and East Kingston will need to be notified as abutters for this project before we can move forward with the public hearing. So we will need to continue the application to the April, I have to look at the date. Someone just say 10th?
Adam said 10.
The April 10th. Sorry, thank you. The April 10th meeting at 7 o'clock here at the town hall. There will be no re-notification for that meeting, so this is your notification at this time for anyone that is interested in attending as an abutter or otherwise. Is there anything else I need?
Okay, I'm just reading the
other
state
comments?
requirements. At least 14 days prior to the public hearing, the local land use board shall notify by certified mail all affected municipalities and the regional planning commission of the date, time, and place. So we have more than 14 days to get that notification out to RPC and Brentwood and East Kingston. There would be no other abutters that weren't notified the first time. So it would just be 3 additional notifications of the new meeting date.
I just want to, clarify that we're not saying Fremont isn't a butter because they will have some. We were saying there's a question around that, so whether that should
107?
be indicated as
For an extra 75 cents, it's probably worth sending one to Fremont, just as a courtesy,
For the
because
transportation purposes.
that's one of the things this law is designed to do, is to open up communication between towns about projects. And yeah, they were definitely notified on the 266 project just up the road, so. I would like to save the planning board some additional time.
The zoning board?
Sorry, the zoning board.
Which board do you want tonight, Peter?
What today is it? Today is Tuesday, it must be Belgium,
Today
right?
is Thursday.
Today is Thursday. And that is that this application is based on a denial from the planning board, based on a letter that was sent, that C2
Yes.
zone residential use is prohibited. Now, it didn't ask about
other variances that might be required, but I don't want, if this goes through, to go to the planning board and then have them say, oh, but here, look at this plan, you're in the aquifer protection zone. You need, in order to make this number of units work, you'd need 201 acres. I did the math, 64 units and 3 commercial buildings would be at 3 acres each in the aquifer protection zone, would be 201 acres. You only have 41.4 acres. So you'd need a variance for that. So in the meantime, and this might require re-notification by, to all abutters, if you added in your application a variance request for the aquifer protection zone. I don't know how that's going to work, but
Who would they need to get a denial from first, though?
yeah, they'd have to get a denial, but they could probably work that out.
With who?
But they can still make the application. The application can go in before you get the denial letter. That's what happened here.
Right.
It's planning board. Because when the planning board gets the whole set of plans, they're going to look at it, and Dennis will review it, and that'll be one of the things that'll stick out there. It's just like, well,
All right, so you're suggesting they go back to the planning board before April's meeting?
I would,
To
I don't know. That's something I would suggest that what you do is you go down and talk to the town planner and see what your best options. It might mean delaying it within a month so that you can get a full application done, but this happened the last time on this same property. They only followed for one of the 2 required variances, and ironically, it's the aquifer protection zone that was missing. So, or it was only, that was one of the 2. So it's not going to be something that will be missed. So my recommendation is that you, I would just recommend to the chair that she recommend to you that you would go to talk to Glenn Greenwood and find out what the best way to file an application is, knowing that you're going to need another variance. You could do it in 2 stages if you want to. If on the theory that if the first one got denied, you wouldn't have to make the second application. That's entirely your decisions, and I would just talk to the planning office about how that works, and your attorney who knows these things, but then go ahead and read through there, because there's also the wetland. You're also, I noticed from your application, you're in the aquifer protection zone and wetlands conservation district. A lot of wetlands on there. And you're going to have to get point values and, for producing setbacks, and that's going to reduce your buildable area for determining, how much land you have for septics and buildings and things like that, and what your coverage area is. So, and that's all pretty much planning board kind of stuff, details, but Glenn certainly can help you out, and Robin can
We certainly don't want you to get blindsided coming to
Yeah,
the meeting and then
yeah,
realizing you need more. If you
yeah,
can do it, if you would prefer to do it all at once, then the town office would be able to help assist you with all of that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we needed to discuss?
No, that wouldn't affect the regional impact of this project, though. So that they can get the letters out for that.
Yes.
Wait, so which towns are we notifying?
Brentwood,
Fremont?
East Kingston, and Fremont,
And Brentwood, East Kingston, Fremont.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
and the RPC.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Any more discussion on this at the moment? No? Okay. So, do you have any? Huh?
We have new
We have
business.
new business.
Yes.
So at this time, we won't be opening the public hearing. You guys are welcome to stay to hear whatever else we have to say about anything else, but we will see you back here on the April 10th meeting.
Yeah, and any public comments that were received by mail would wait until the hearing to be heard anyway, so
Yep.
they could be updated. That's for Phil's benefit.
Mr. Coombs?
Okay, yeah, I was just saying that any public comment items that were received by mail, we wouldn't read those until we came to public comment section, so that
At
if
the
they
meeting.
wanted to be updated or whatever, you could, you got it.
Okay. Oh,
Hey, you need a microphone.
it's,
Speak up.
cool.
What were you saying?
I was just saying, I will submit an update.
Okay,
Just 'cause- and it's only because I didn't have much of the information until yesterday, really. So
okay.
that's okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
We got a couple of business items.
Yeah, Rick has a business item. What would you like us to discuss, Rick?
Well,
Oh, yes.
Chuck Hart had approached me about being an alternate on the board, so, you know, we don't have an alternate
Nope.
at this point, so we probably should have an alternate, and he's volunteered to do that, so I'm thinking maybe we should vote to appoint him as an alternate.
Right, he also expressed the same interest to me and said, how do I go about doing it? And I said, send something to the chair, Megan, and
I'm trying to find.
that was earlier in the day. We spent a wonderful 15 hours together on Tuesday, and at the end of which he had 48 votes for the budget committee, so.
Okay, so we will see if he.
We wanted to see if, I mean, we can vote to appoint him and then he can go get sworn in or whatever, and if he doesn't want to do it, he can let us know, because he has expressed interest to us.
I'm trying to remember what we've done in the past. Hasn't.
We usually
someone
have him
that's
come and they watch
usually-
me and then they
And they talk to us and
they
then.
talk to us and stuff. In this case, we know what is,
Okay. We also, so her name is Michelle. So someone online, because I am always on our Kingston Facebook page, I just noticed that there were a lot of open positions on the town boards that no one was running for, was wondering why. And people gave their own, all their comments. I commented back that if anyone was interested, that zoning and planning boards are always looking for alternates, and it's a great way to see what the positions involved, get involved, be part of the discussion, not necessarily vote unless someone is not able to sit. She sent back a message saying that she was interested in more information, so she's going to reach out to Robin, hopefully.
good, who is it?
Her name is Michelle.
I don't think we can legally vote on first name.
No, but I'm just saying, but I'm just putting that out there, that we actually have someone that was noticing that there's a void and put it out there.
Michelle?
Michelle, I'm gonna butcher this, Jarizek?
Drizek, yeah.
Druzik?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you know who she is?
No, but I've seen the
She's
last name.
She's supposed to be,
Maybe
yeah.
married to a kid who was at the same board.
I can't really. Yeah.
Drizek.
Yeah,
That's
so,
Drizek, yeah.
so we might also have someone else that's interested, I'm not sure what she was interested in. I said if it happens to be planning or zoning, here's Robin's contact information, and we can certainly get you more info, so.
All right, well, the lead's the lead.
Right,
Done better than
hopefully,
me.
fingers crossed, we get some more interested people. At least someone's noticing that we have board positions that no one is filling, so.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is something we should discuss or not, because I don't know if it's should be during, if it's supposed to be during the public hearing, then just tell me that when I say it, but,
No, this is, the
no,
only thing we just, oh, I see, go ahead.
is whether or not we should seek legal advice from town council on this particular application, because it's a prohibited, something specifically prohibited in this zone, and it seems more like a rezoning thing that might need to go to warrant versus us making a decision on it.
Yeah, well, that was one of those things I was gonna bring
Yeah.
up if we had.
So I don't know
gone-
if that should be discussed during public hearing, which would then push their meeting in even another month. So if it's not something we can discuss now, please say so, or is it something that we can make a decision to reach out to?
I think we
town
can
council?
make the decision to reach out to council with the application for guidance purposes, because we could have done that before we
even,
Okay,
in fact, it's not us that gives permission. Under the select board's rules from a couple of years ago, they decided that they were concerned about legal fees getting out of hand, so they want to approve anybody reaching out to council.
okay,
With the exception if you reach out to Free Council, which is the New Hampshire Municipal Association attorney, which is always a good place to start if you have a general question, not about a specific case.
Yeah.
This is very specific. I would suggest that you ask Susan to check with the board about approving consulting with the attorney. By the time we get there, we may have even more information, but there are certain items about, yeah, you can go about the details of what you want to include in your request, but
We could do both, couldn't we? We could reach out to the Free Council and we can also reach out to the town.
In my experience reaching out to the Free Council, they don't like very specific questions. They're
Right.
they
They're
want
always
kind of an
gonna-
overall broad,
they'll say,
so I mean,
consult
I
your town
can,
attorney.
Yeah, it seems like we could ask a broad question related to something like
yeah,
that.
if an item is specifically prohibited and it
Yeah.
involves something that seems like it's a rezoning, then would it be best to send it to warrant versus?
Yeah, because we've had at least three cases where these type of thing has gone to warrant, and one pending that we haven't heard back from. So, for one thing, and I also should point out that innovative zoning, which is when you have clusters and high density stuff, is something that is entirely handled by the planning board to the extent that you may not appeal it to the ZBA. It's appealed directly to Superior Court or a housing court if it's relative to residential use. So since the plans that were submitted are related to that, we certainly want that'd be one of the questions, because how in the heck could we given the density, the number of units, that doesn't fit with the number of acres they have, even without the aquifer protection zone. So, you'd have to have some kind of special zone that allowed for that for workforce housing or something, and like in C1 has that workforce housing, but that was all done by a warrant article, and it's got pages of qualifications for how to.
Okay, so how specific do I need to get with the select board, like actually give them our concern?
Just to say that there's a lot of issues on this that are
pertaining to,
that would, and they're very familiar with this business of special town meetings and/or town meetings to determine this would be a zoning change. And one of the things to consider is that there's two things, actually. One is that the state legislature is quite possibly going to pass new regulations about whether towns will be allowed to ban housing in commercial zones. That could happen most quickly. The other thing is the planning board is going to be undertaking a review of the master plan.
yes,
And maybe producing some housing-friendly
alternative.
zoning regulations.
Yeah.
You get that impression too, don't you, Robin? Yeah.
Yeah, I know that they proposed revamping the master plan at the budget reviews, so.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very expensive, because original plan was from years ago was to do it one chapter at a time. We got about one chapter done.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll reach out to Susan. About conferring with town council on this. I can also reach out and try and be as vague as possible with the municipal
Association,
and see what they have to say. And then, any responses I get, do I just send that to you and it get shared with the board ahead of time versus having to wait till the meeting?
There's two ways of doing that. There's a non-meeting in which you meet with the attorney, and the attorney
And that's not a meeting itself.
It's a,
It's not a,
Non-public.
there's a non-public, but this is a non-meeting. It's called a non-meeting. It's not even a non-public, you don't have to take minutes or. It's
okay,
with the
so would we
attorney.
call a special meeting
And
to do that, or just meet ahead of time?
we would probably arrange it with the attorney's schedule, anybody.
The attorney has to be present. I
Right.
think basically you're asking.
For a non-meeting.
You're asking for guidance and input on this. Also, does the ZBA have the authority or power to handle that type of request? That's what I think you're asking.
Right,
Exactly.
it is.
That's
exactly what I'm
exactly
asking.
what we're
Get
asking.
back to us and we can share that separately. I don't think we have to have a separate meeting.
No,
No, it wouldn't be a separate meeting.
We've had-
You either you meet with the attorney and she explains, or she just provides a written response.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And then we can, now, if we
The
have a
last
written
one was-
response and we want to just to get that to everybody, we can either do it by confidential.
To me and I could distribute it like you
Distri-
distribute it.
right.
Yeah,
Okay,
That's
I guess
the
that's what
best
I'm
way.
asking. Like, I just want to, I'm not sending it out to anyone, I'm sending it to Robin first.
yeah.
This is-
Oh, yeah.
Anything that gets written back to me.
I send it out blind.
Because we have had one non-public session where.
We had a non-public session where,
attorney met
because the
with us.
attorney wasn't present, we discussed counsel.
If she suggests that, that's different, but.
Yeah.
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we're just asking for guidance. We have a few weeks. So
Yeah.
Okay,
that's my.
sounds good. Does anyone else have any?
It's
Any comments
fairly
for-
uncomplicated questions, so.
Yeah, all right. Does anyone else have anything else that they would
Well,
like me to add to that, or?
Books,
Yeah.
pretty epic, and
back to
Oh.
red again.
all the zoning ordinances passed except one, by one vote.
There's only one,
Yes,
I
by
thought it was,
one
we had
vote.
a,
And it was manually counted votes. It went one vote in the other direction after they counted two manual votes.
oh, okay, yeah, because I was, it was about 3 off.
I feel like that's gonna get recounted, or has
I mean,
already.
nothing was super exciting this year anyway. I guess the C1 one was pretty good.
Yeah, and I think what we've learned is that you don't make a warrant article that sounds like, and even my wife, who've been hearing me about this, and other people said that they thought it was, that warrant article that didn't pass was to ban travel trailers and all that stuff. And in fact, all it did was add RVs to things you can't have people
Right.
living in for more than 3 months.
Yeah.
And so.
I'm really sorry that yours didn't pass.
The way the state legislature does it is they put it in bold. They said to add the words, and then they put it in bold, the way Robin does in red ink
Yeah.
on the things that we have. The people who read this don't see it. That's the only change, would be recreational vehicles in bold.
Right.
Just to add, and so the,
It's almost like we need a pilot group to say, do you understand all these? And if you don't, how can we make a better explanation?
yeah.
It's called a deliberative session.
Well, Lori
isn't it?
said that next year they're going to have a voter guide. I don't know how many people will read it.
At least there'll be one, so if someone complains about it on the Kingston Facebook page, I can say, hey, there's a voter guide.
I spoke against the voter guide only in that it can be written either in
Biased.
a biased fashion.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so, unless you have AI do it, so it's unbiased.
With mistakes.
I
Right. You just gotta check the AI.
you know, how are you going to do that?
Yeah.
Without somehow flavoring it, you know?
Yeah, I think.
In
they
some
would be-
places, they have a pro and con, you know, they'll have.
Oh, yeah,
They'll have
yeah.
two different sides to a particular issue, in some things I've seen, but.
I'm trying to remember, my parents live in Raymond, and I feel like I've seen their voter guide before, where it will give if you vote yes, this is what it means, if you vote no, this is what it means. But
There were only 2,000 ballots.
this time?
Yeah.
Yeah, out of how many?
4,700.
4,700?
We, at the morning, we didn't think that we were gonna break 500 for a while.
Right, well, it was at 4:50 at like, what, 2:30 in the
It
afternoon?
was really slow in the morning. I mean, we had like maybe 125 by like 10 o'clock. I mean, it was very slow, and then later in the day, it obviously had picked up, but
Yeah.
in the morning, it was really slow.
Is there anything else that we need for public recording, or can we?
Yeah, I was going to say, we're getting into
Are we good?
chit chat. Do you want to do board business for, to elected officials?
Do we want to, I guess
Is
I'll leave it up
everybody
to you
here?
guys. Do we want to do that tonight?
Elect officials, elect chairman, vice chair, and I don't think there's any.
We'll speed up the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't think there's any.
Yeah, just do it right now.
I was like, do it.
Just do it. We'll just do it.
All right, do it. I know you're all going to do it anyhow. What are you going to say?
We'll take nominations?
Huh?
Are you,
Huh?
are you gonna be willing to do this again?
Just, I know that there's the 10-day period. I mean, I don't know whether it matters or not if you want to officially have signed before we do
Before we do it?
Yeah.
The 10 days is only if it's contested, right?
I believe so.
Because we don't have any.
If there's any question, we can
there's
wait
no
till the
race to
next
assess.
meeting, that's fine.
It's to give people a chance to ask for a recount if there's a question, but it doesn't matter.
If we're concerned about it, Rick and I can sign first, and then we can just do it at the next meeting. It's not gonna take us long,
No.
so, okay. Yeah, we'll get legal first, all right.
Even more legal, I think.
We're
you're
all
legal.
set.